everyone. Hello, everyone. We are excited to be with you today. We are coming to you live from UNSCAP, which is United Nations in Bangkok, covering all of Asia. And we are happy to have our guest here. I'm going to turn it over to Sasha, Nicole, and Chriselle. Take it away, ladies.
Hi, my name is Sasha, and I am one of the creative partners of the Creators 2030 SDGs Arts and Youth Program. And right now, I am presenting you the 18th goal, Life Together. We work with youth and all generations to problem solve the world's social issues, global issues, and the UN Sustainable Development Goals through artistic, creative, innovative methods. We also support, advocate, and connect artists and creative professionals in collaborative ways to be paid for their artistic talents and provide solutions to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. While we do more than this, and I will not bore you with all the details, what I am excited to share with you is the 18th goal. We started this a little over 2.5 years ago. 3 women, 3 different continents, 3 different ages coming together to create and design UN SDG 18, Life Together. For all you citizens, I am one of the women who designed the goal. I am a creative professional who is an animator, photographer, and videographer, and the Creators 2030 represent who I am in all ways. The 18th goal is designed to bring all solutions together with structures that leave no one behind by 2030 and allow these solutions to grow and expand 2030 for future generations. Now, Nicole, take it away.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I am the Creators 2030 Youth Ambassador. I am from South America, and you're probably wondering what the UNSDG 18 Life Together is really about. Well, we have done our due diligence. Firstly, we submitted to the right offices a little over 2.5 years ago. We then went on to announce it in a low-key way in Europe, Asia, Africa, in the United States, and we have placed it in the hands of the correct officials. But most importantly, as we work to have this goal implemented within the UN infrastructure, we would like you to know this is your goal. The 18th goal is set up not only for solutions, but ways in which we will create structures and infrastructures to facilitate the 17 before it. UN SDG 18 is set up for climate to really occur through collaboration of all multi-stakeholders. Just so you know what we mean by multi-stakeholders, well, that means you, the citizen, UN agencies, UN member states, all industries, NGOs, organizations, and everyone. That's all we are going to tell you for right now. Just know it is to have all citizens and generations working together. Oh, one last thing. I intend to be the first UN Youth Arts and Cultural Emissary. Looking forward to sharing more details down the road. Oh, and one more surprise. Take it away, Chriselle.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Chriselle. I'm going to try and keep this short. 9 years ago, my grandmother passed away, and it was through the Creators 2030 and one of its founders who started this in 1998 before the MDGs and SDGs wanted to find a way to bring artists, governments, citizens, companies, and organizations together. Well, what started out as an artistic project presented to the UN in my grandmother's name into something, into something bigger than simply my grandmother only. One of the things my grandmother wanted to see, much like Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, Mother Teresa, to Malala, it is that all people would come together. She was a no-nonsense woman who loved youth and believed in all generations, also working together. Youth are not the future. We are all the future together. And it's time that we grow up as humanity and realize that we all have the same blood, color, and so no one is better than the other. I learned that very well from one of the co-founders, who happens to be my aunt. I'm also a student double majoring in biology and the classics, and I've traveled a little myself. So it's great that we can connect with each other. So our announcement is the hashtag Together We campaign for the UN Sustainable Development Goals beginning here in Asia. You'll be hearing more about the hashtag Together We campaign in the coming weeks. And we started this campaign in 2012, but did not want to launch until everything was in order. Look for more information coming soon. Everyone makes a difference, but together we shift the world.
Okay, we are starting the conference.
All right.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you for that, Sasha. Can you take down your screen share? Welcome, everyone. We are officially starting the conference.
Alice, there's one more thing that Sasha and Chriselle and Nicole have that I think they had to share. You guys might want to look in your email. Do you see it, guys?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we are not going to say much. This happened 2 years ago. The UN declared 2021 the International Year of the Creative Economy. So, well, I designed something else as part of Life Together. And here it is. This is the 19th goal, Arts for Life and Planet. It's important artists have a seat at the table to work with government, industry, youth, NGO, and citizens. We will surprise you with more very soon.
So from there, I thank you, Peter, and I thank you, Amit. And we are going to, I believe our next group is Mr. Hunter Halder, ReFood. Hello, Mr. Hunter Halder. How are you, sir? It is so good to have you. And then Kuth Weil, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, Kuth, you probably didn't expect to have this kind of conversation, but I think it's a powerful conversation that you'd rather walk into on this. So, Kuth Weil, actress and fashion model from Sudan, my girl all the time, and Mr. Hunter Halder, who's with ReFood. Now, Kuth, I know you weren't able to make the other one, so this is going to be a very interesting panel. And my co-moderators are Mr. Drew, Mr. Akshita, Ms. Shrishti, and Ms. Kusha from India, okay? Hunter, you're with ReFood. You serve millions of meals a year, utilizing the food from restaurants, and not the leftover food, but food that they have that they don't want to, affect or waste. And Kuth, are you there, Kuth? Did I lose you? Oh, I'm sorry. There you are. So, Kuth, you coming from Sudan, okay, and knowing what's going on with food security and not having enough food, okay? I think the both of you will find this conversation very interesting. I'd like to start out, Hunter, this time we were supposed to have a keynote, but I think you'll love this together since both of you came on the same time. Kuz, I'd like to start with you for a second. You know, Hunter works in Portugal supporting what he classifies as beneficiaries of receiving good food every week that restaurants would normally throw away, and not the leftovers in the table scraps that people leave, but the actual food that's good food, you know, that he packages, and we'll go into that in a second. If you had something where, do you think that something like that would work in Sudan, where the restaurants or the people of the country, if they had a way of recycling the food, and I mean recycling the food that's fresh, that wasn't utilized every day, that it would help the rest of the people in Sudan?
Would it? Are you asking would it help in terms
Yes.
of
So if
food security and everything?
Yeah. Well, no, and you know, every place has food waste. Okay, no matter where you go. In Sudan, knowing the food shortages, if people were to take the food that they probably throw away that is still good, okay, and supported it in getting delivered to those families that needed it in Sudan, okay, do you think that that would help with the food shortages that are going on in Sudan?
I would obviously it's a yes, considering the fact that there's a lot of food insecurities in many parts of Sudan and South Sudan. The other thing is also, I would say, is maybe assisting the community in terms of transporting the food and having the infrastructures to actually implement it is the part I would say is probably the difficulty in doing that. But I do think that obviously including universities and students and young people would definitely be a huge benefit to that.
Wow. Okay. That's very interesting. Well, I know that Kusha, I believe, has a question for Mr. Hunter.
Fire away.
Yes, I do. I wanted to ask you, what does ReFood do exactly?
We rescue food that is overproduction. So every restaurant, every cafeteria, and every supermarket, every food producer in the world makes and has more food than they need because they know that clients are going to come in to buy lunch and dinner. They're going to go into the grocery store and they want to have all of the food that they want. And so there is overproduction. And that overproduction, unfortunately, is currently going to the trash. And it's really quite simple to intervene at the right moment when they're getting ready to throw it away, collect it, and deliver it to people who need it. And we discovered this about 10 years ago when I got on my bicycle and started going to 30 restaurants around my house and feeding 50 people who were food insecure, and it changed their lives in terms of nutrition. And other people saw me doing it, and so they came to be volunteers as well. It's a 100% volunteer operation. And pretty soon we made the news because it was an interesting thing, and there was a financial crisis in Portugal at the time. And so when we made the news, then many people came and wanted to help. And so we started replicating. And so now 10 years later, instead of one volunteer rescuing food in 7 city blocks in the center of Lisbon, we have 60 local communities doing this work from the north to the south of the country. And we're now rescuing 150,000 meals a month instead of 1,000. I was able to do 1,000 by myself because it's 20 work days in the month. And so this comes to 2,250,000 meals a year, which is more than 1,000 tons of bio waste that does not go to the trash. And so it just kind of took off, and now we have another in Madrid, and we're getting ready to open in Salvador de Bahia in Brazil, and in my own hometown, which is Richmond, Virginia, in the States. And we have other teams in Italy and a few other places. So we're getting ready to go global. But it's a very local phenomenon. It's not a global thing. It's only global because it replicates. It's a local community where some people rescue the food. Restaurants who produce the food offer it for free. And then we deliver it immediately to people who need it. And so it's kind of a community building thing that it works very good in more developed countries. I'm a little bit afraid that it might not work quite so well in less developed countries because they might have different needs, infrastructure, refrigeration. But one thing's for sure, there is food that's in perfect condition that does not get eaten. And the reasons are different from place to place. But the solution is the same. The people need to get their hands on that food while it's still good and move it to where people need it. And when people decide to do that, it works very well. So I recommend it.
That's a great initiative, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. So I have a question for Miss Weil. So Miss Weil, I'm a young man from India. According to you, how can I support girls in my community to empower them?
Yes, I think obviously it starts with your community or even with your own family. I always think about how what starts in the home obviously will ripple out into the rest of the community as well. I would say learn the stories of obviously your sisters, your moms, those that you're closer to, and so then you're able to obviously through that you have the empathy with that, and then also advocating for girls. I think about how like I have nieces and nephews, and with my nephews, I talk to them like they're adults and say, you know, these are the issues that we're facing as girls, and for them so that they can learn to be better advocates. And I think it comes from being an advocate and championing the issues of women and girls. Definitely.
Thank you.
I have a question. Well, Srishti, you take it from here. Ask any question you'd like of Mr. Hunter.
All right. So, okay. So my question for you, hello. So my question for you is that how can we distribute food in such a manner so that we are able to provide for everyone, and we are able to curb the problem of poverty, and we can also cover at the same time good health and well-being of others?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you should ask it in that way because, in fact, ReFood, just by its natural work that we do every day, touches on 9 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Most directly, we touch on eradicating hunger because that's the main goal of what we're doing. But we also create responsibility in consumption resources and consumption, which is number 12. And so those two, we hit them very directly. But if you have a family who doesn't have food security, they have no chance of getting out of poverty because they're concerned about eating. If you can do what we do, which is to secure their nutrition, then they can start thinking about how to get out of poverty. And in the same way, and that's the first development goal. And the third development goal is good health. And if you do not have a nutritious diet, you cannot have good health. So we touch on that one. And also number 10, which is inequalities. A family who does not have food nutrition is not in any way in an equal stance with the rest of society. So we reduce inequalities, which is number 10. And number 11, which is sustainable cities and communities. Our work creates sustainable communities because we involve everyone in the community, businesses and people, hundreds of volunteers, hundreds of beneficiaries in every community, and dozens of institutions and businesses. So this all creates sustainability. And then the last two that we hit on are the 16th and the 17th. The 16th is peace and justice. And the way I understand our work, every volunteer who gives 2 hours once a week, we only ask for 2 hours once a week of their time. But in that 2 hours, they're going to feed 10 people just with the work that they do. And this creates peace and justice, peace in the hearts of the volunteers and justice for the people who need the food. And finally, number 17, which is partnerships. Everything about ReFood is partnerships. Every volunteer is a partner. They offer their time. Every food source, restaurant, or supermarket is a partner. And so it's powered by partnerships. So we actually touch on all of those different aspects of the Sustainable Development Goals. And it's kind of amazing because it's only one idea. The idea is that it's wrong to throw away perfectly good food when people are hungry. It's a very simple idea, but when you put it into practice, it touches on all of these different Sustainable Development Goals. I hope I answered your question. I'm not sure I did.
Yes, you sure did.
Before you go on to the next question, I just wanted folks to know at the UN, Hunter and I met Hunter some years ago, and Hunter and I are global partners. And I want to announce that we have another initiative, which is the Food for SDGs, okay? Food for SDGs initiative. And we will be going into what that's going to look like. We'll be connecting that also to, we'll be connecting that also to the SDGs and every area of that, and doing some work hopefully around the UN with that. So with that said, I give it over to Ms. Kusha.
Thank you. I have a question for Ms. Weil. How does the good lie reflect on life in Western societies, in your opinion?
How does it reflect to life in Western societies?
Yeah.
In terms of their connection, I would say obviously the issue of immigration. Obviously, we have displaced people throughout the world, and so I think that's a key part of that. Is especially for those of us who are countries that welcome immigrants, to be, I would say, mindful of obviously where people come from. For the good lie, it's obviously war, and so these were kids who were, I would say, displaced as children. And to think about the journeys and where people come from, also addressing the needs and the issues that people have when they arrive to new countries in terms of the trauma that they face, and as well as the goals that they want to achieve, and how you then look at, I would say for me, I don't like to look at immigration in terms of assimilating. I think it's about integration, and that's something in which countries need to start implementing in terms of welcoming immigrants. Is how can they incorporate their cultures as well as the new culture that they're coming into, and how the two benefit each other. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Yes,
Thank you.
Before we move on to our panel that I'm dying to get to with Ms. Anju Gupta and Asata Gupta, I would like to ask you something, Kuth, something I've always been wanting to ask you.
Yes.
You've had so much courage, okay? And, I wish that some of us over here in the Western society had the courage. When we speak of Africa, people often think that Africa needs something, okay? Africa actually has more resources than we have. That's why people keep going to Africa to take them, okay? How can we really empower the people of Africa to, not to do it for them, but to, because the beauty in Africa is unreal, okay? How can we really empower not just Africa, but people of different, how can we take how we empower Africa and empower every citizen around the world the same way?
I think it's more about asking the people themselves, like what, looking at their livelihood, how have these people survived for many, many years without the influence of obviously other cultures or anything like that. I think for me, we all know about, especially living in America, we know about different societies and how they function and things like that, but we never take into consideration that we're looking at from our point of view and then trying to make them adjust to us. I think it's about the people thriving in their own lands, in their own place, within their own beliefs and supporting that aspect of it. Because with what happens with Africa, obviously with colonialism, we know what's the manifestations of that and what's happened in the future as well as what's going on now. I think it's the African problems deserve African solutions, and that's how I look at it that way.
Thank you so, so much,
Yeah.
Pooh. So I just want everyone here to know this panel is not about how can you network with the person on this panel and get to know the person so that you can go take what you're doing to the next level. This is really about people sharing what they're up to. We have people like Anju Gupta, who's a teacher and works very hard with the students, and I almost want to cry because I love these folks so much. Kusha is my heart. All these kids have become mean very much to me. I'm actually going to say it in front of everybody. I've come to love them very deeply, and their hearts and this school. And Andrew knows that I mean that from the heart. She's a woman that I respect. Every person that has been on today, from Hunter to Kuth and all the people here, I've known them for a period of time. I haven't just walked up and met them. And, I asked Kuth if she would be a part of this, and she said yes, and her schedule is very busy, and I really appreciate her. So before we go on, Hunter, I wanted you to give me one last statement, and I'm going to go on to Kuth, and then we're going to go on to Anju and Asatha, okay? Give me one last statement, if you would, just in a break of time, about what you think is important about food and that we take for granted, sir.
Well, I think it has to do with our values. I know that my grandparents valued food immensely because they've been through the Great Depression in the States. And then we kind of lost that with consumerism. And so we get something, we eat half of it and throw it away, and we don't think twice about it. And so we've lost the preciousness of food. So food is precious, people are precious, and our time is precious. Our time is the only thing we really have. And if we spend some of our time helping others, it can be related to food, like the way that ReFood is doing it, or it can be in any other way. Use some of your time, your precious time, to help other people. And it's a simple thing, and it's very rewarding. Not in money, but it's rewarding in a bigger way. And so that's what I would say. I would say that we're surrounded by precious things, and we need to value them, and we need to teach that and live that, and we can make a lot of change.
Miss Weil, what would be your last words, my dear?
I think Hunter has said it all. Learning from others.
Last words.
He said it all. That's all I have to say. I think I'm going to relay off of that. Is obviously looking to do a service to others, because you learn a lot just from that. And also think about how in America, I would say we don't have a culture of empathy here. And I would say, like, where I come from, that's all we have. And so to see how things are being moved around, and how even here we almost see it as hold people on a pedestal just for having empathy. And I think that should be something that's to be more common. Should be just something that we do, rather than thinking about how it's going to obviously benefit us. Just think about how it's going to benefit all of us in general, and how we have to think as a unit rather than just as an individual.
Thank you so much. And with that said, I'm going to bring on Miss Asatha Gupta. Did I say that right? Asatha Gupta? Am I saying it correctly?
It is Astha.
Asta.
Astha. Yeah.
Asta Gupta. Thank you. And I'm bringing on Mrs. Anju Gupta. Alice, can you do me a favor with pinning the two of them together? Is that possible? Because it seems to be a multi-pin.
Gail, do you need us to check out?
No, you can stay here. Everyone can stay here, please. If you'd like to, and if you have to go, we understand. So I'm going to take the privilege of enjoying this, okay? I want to thank Kusha and Dhruv and Ashita who had to go, and Shrishti. And, Shrishti and Dhruv and Kusha, if you want to jump in and ask any questions, feel free to, okay, guys? So, Anju, you're a teacher at the Alcon School, okay? And Asta, did I say it right? Asta?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Asta Gupta is an author and the daughter of Andrew Gupta. I think it runs in the family, the talents, Andrew is a very determined woman when it comes to her students. And her and I have something in common that I love. That is that they don't just talk about the SDGs. They live them every day. Right now, Andrew is doing World Water Day, and she got me started. Okay, I saw her online, and I said, "Okay, Andrew, I'm going to do this." And I started walking. She knows that I bike and do all those things, but I saw her walking, and I'm like, every time I saw her, it's like I'm going to get up and I'm going to do the same thing. Andrew, would you share with us about the work that you do and what life is like there in India with your school and what you're up to, please?
Yeah. Namaste and greetings to all of you. Well, as a good introduction Gail has already given me, thank you so much for calling me here. So I'm talking about youth in India, okay? So before I talk anything, I would like to tell you some demographics of India. India has around 1/5 of the world population, that comes out to be around 130 crores. And out of this, 50% of the total population lies below 25 years of age. 65% of the population is below 35 years of age. That means that in between the range of 15 to 64 years, we have around 64% population who produce more and consume less. We have only 5.3% population more than 65 years of age who consume more and who produce less. So in Hindi, India we call Hindustan, but going by the demographics which I have told you, we have started calling India not Hindustan but Youngistan, because we have India is a young country, as I have told you. Now coming back to what youth is doing in India. If we have around 85 to 90% of youth in India, then should we be afraid of anything? No, we should not be. But we have our challenges here in India, and I am observing and seeing everywhere the youth doing their bit of work. I will start with education, as I belong to education domain. I've seen the children, these boys and girls, teaching the underprivileged boys and girls on streets, under the trees, in temporary rooms, so that good education can be given to all. We have started one campaign, each one teach one. That means that each and every child will be taking up one person and will be teaching that person. So that's a campaign that we have started in Alcon, and I've also started in my society. The teachers have become Santa Claus. Why? Before pandemic, there were the transformation, technological transformation in education was very slow. Everyone knows this. But the kind of atmosphere and the kind of environment we had to face during the pandemic and lockdown, the teachers had to evolve themselves. So what they did, they dived deep into the field of technology and they learned technology, and the online classes started immediately. Now what happened once the online classes started, all of us were very happy that we are able to reach around 70 to 75% of the children. But what about the children of economically weaker section? We could not reach them despite our best efforts. because of digital poverty, because the children were not having devices, because they were not having internet connections. So the teachers started donating their devices to such children. And we tried to reach around 90 to 95% of the student population, so that the academics of not even a single child should suffer. Even if the internet was not there, the teachers started making YouTube videos and posting on the YouTube, on the WhatsApp of the parents, so that somehow all the children they are taken care of, right? And these teachers include young teachers. These teachers include young boys and girls, as I have told you. Now coming to the food. During the lockdown, during the pandemic, everyone knows, and I have been hearing what Hunter sir said here, what Kuth said here, what Kusha has been asking. I've seen the boys, young boys and girls on the street distributing food to the needy people there. Not only during the lockdown, even now I can see them. I can see them bringing food in small autos, in scooters, on motorbikes, and distributing food all over the people who were not having such kind of facilities. People have started kitchens, community kitchens. We are not waiting for NGOs to help us. People have started community kitchens where they distribute food at very reasonable rates. People have started, we have placed refrigerators outside the housing societies. So what do? All the people who have extra food come and keep the food in the refrigerators placed outside the housing societies. And all the needy people come and take the food from those refrigerators. We have kept almiras outside the societies where the people come and keep extra clothes, whether it is summers or it is winters or blankets, and people come and take from there. People are selling used clothes, but dry cleaned and washed clothes at the rate of only 5 rupees. At the rate of only 5 rupees, which is very small amount. So this is what youth is doing, Apart from that, youth has also started realizing the importance of art, poetry, drawing in their lives. They have started writing poems. They have started observing what is happening around the world. Asta has written a very beautiful poem on what she has observed. So before I continue, I would like Asta to recite that poem so that everyone should know what she has feelings for all the situations, all the social backgrounds around the world.
Asta,
Asta, if you could.
before you read, I would love for you to tell others what the name of the book that you've written, please, if you wouldn't mind, before you share your poem.
So hi everyone, this is Astha from India. Namaste. I started my writing journey during the lockdown. In April 2020, I wrote my first poem. And then of course, there is my mother. I showed her my poem. She really liked it. And then it was published in Paper Times. Simultaneously, I also started writing on an app called Terribly Tiny Tales, where you can read everybody else's writings also, poems, short stories, musings, thoughts, everything. And you can, of course, write down your own thoughts also so that others can read it. So my journey started in the lockdown, and since then I have written around 6 books. I have co-authored 6 books, not written individually, but co-authored 6 of them. And right now, the poem that I'm going to recite does not belong to any book. I just wrote it randomly, looking at the scenario, looking at the world scenario. So it doesn't belong to any of the books, but it's written from my heart. I hope all of you enjoy it. Can I start, Gail?
Yes, we're just waiting. I just want people to know about your book so that they can find it online and support your work.
Sure. I'll let you know about the books after I recite my poem, because there are 5, 6 of them. I'll give you the names, all of their names. So yeah, I'm starting with the poem now. I have penned down a few lines, keeping in view the current social scenario across the world. I have been touched by the social and gender inequalities that are prevalent in the world right now, and I stand for gender equality, SDG number 5. Here goes the poem title. Is this the world we dreamt of? Is this the world we dreamt of? Amidst the dead, the wounded, the stranded, we hear the silent cries for justice. Of people away from their loved ones, of people suffering from hunger, of people being looted and cheated. Is this the world we dreamt of? Are we proud to be humans? It's time to think again. We hear the silent cries of justice, of 5-year-olds being raped, of women being harassed and abused, of the 21-year-old who never came back home. Is this the world we dreamt of? Are we proud to be humans? It's time to think again. We hear the silent cries of justice, of thousands who gather to protest, of parents who want their daughters to be safe, of girls who have the right to roam freely, even in the dark. Is this the world we dreamt of? Who should we blame? The police, the government, or the judiciary? Or should we just blame ourselves for compromising to live this life, for not standing up for our rights, for forgetting conveniently the last rape, the last murder, or the last domestic abuse? Should we just blame ourselves for women being stabbed or charred, for the girl child being killed, for our daughters whom we marry in exchange of a car, a few kilo of gold, or thousands of rupees? Are we proud to be humans? Is this the world we dreamt of? It's time to think again. It's time to think again. Thank you so much.
We'll continue with Anju. Thank you so much. Did we lose Andrew? Anju?
I think we lost her. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Asta, I truly, truly thank you. Fadlin Muzaki, would you mind coming on, please? Fadlin? You can come on. Hello, Fadlin. Okay, I guess he doesn't want to come on.
So sorry, like I think my signal is not really good here.
Oh, okay. So, Fadlin, I understand that you wanted to be in touch with us around the youth. Please feel free to, and we'll be in communication with you as well, okay? And
yeah, thank you very much. Because like I'm as a consultant or the public communication right now at National Secretariat of SDGs in Indonesia and also the youth activists, and would like to keep in touch with all of you here. Maybe in the future we can collaborate to make a great discussion or like something like focus group discussion related to youth, SDGs and 2030 agenda.
thank you. And we will definitely be in communication. If you will communicate with Alice directly, she will take your information and move from there. Asta, that sounds great. So I want you to share your books in just 1 second. I want to say something to the youth, and I want to say something to the world as they hear. My name is Gail Davis Carter, and we have a lot of projects with the UN. We've worked hard. Our students work hard. And the teachers who work with our students, we don't just have a youth program. We support artists in actually being paid. We're advocates for them being paid. There are a lot of people out there that are advocating for artists, you know. My mouth gets me into trouble at times because I'm very, I say sometimes what's on my mind. And, you know, my mother used to say, you'll end up eating foot for dinner because I put my foot in my mouth at times. But I want to say this openly. The youths are not pawns to use. The youths are not pawns to use, okay, to the adults. The youths are human beings and people that honestly want to know and want to learn. And it's important that we don't just come together as youth just to come together. And I'm glad Andrew's back in the middle of this conversation. It's important that we respect our youth, that we love our youth, and that we honor our youth. But to our youth, it's important that you honor and you respect each other and the adults with you. And also know as youth that you have just as much to teach us as we teach you. And we have just as much to learn from you as youth as you have to learn from us. Okay? And I know you're told that you can do anything. Well, I want to say this. Asta is writing her books and things like that. But a 4-year-old cannot do what Asta does. Okay? A 6-year-old cannot do what Asta does. And Asta cannot do what Andrew does. Because there's a level of experience and living one must learn. Okay? Just as well as I can't do what Kusha and Srishti and Dhruv and Akshita do. Okay? Because you're learning things in a different time. Okay? So I would have to go back and learn what you do unless I was Andrew, who was teaching on a daily basis. So it is really, really important that we understand that as youth and adults, we have to stop using the youth and adults and just youth programs 30 under 30. Let's stop all that. It's time to bring everyone together and work together with each other. No one is the future. Everyone is the future. If you're 90, you are still the future. And that's important for everyone to know. That's just a point I wanted to make because I have a lot of people coming to me saying, oh, yes, we want to do this, we want to do that. No, you must respect the youth. You must. As Fadlin said, bringing the youth together, creating things, but we also don't want to just have youth only because it's no different than having Indian, Black, Asian, or this. We have to bring everyone together. And of course, everyone will naturally fall into their age groups. So with that said, I want to thank Asta for her poem. And Asta, would you please tell us about your books before we go back to your mother?
Thank you so much, Gail. So the first poem that I wrote in the lockdown was called Stop Waiting, and it is published on a website called Paper Times. And the first book that I wrote was called Little Occult Affairs. That was the first book. It's a horror story, Little Occult Affairs. The second one is called Let the Scars Speak. Let the Scars Speak. I wrote about a tale on friendship. Then the third book is Tintinabulations. It's a Hindi poem that I wrote for this book. Then the fourth book is I Have a Phobia, Do You? In this book, I've written about my phobia for maths because I have a phobia for maths, so I wrote about it. And then the last one is The Great Indian Anthology. It is available on Kindle as well as on Amazon. So all these books are available on Amazon and you can check them out and buy them and give me the feedback.
Okay, and they can find it under your name, Asta Gupta?
Yeah.
So please, everyone, go and support Asta Gupta. Her name is spelled A-A-S-T-H-A. That's her first name. And then Gupta, G-U-P-T-A. We have to encourage and empower and support the creative artists. It's important that we advocate because, you see, we use those stories to inspire us. So you have to understand if we utilize that, if you go to the store and you buy a Starbucks coffee, you must pay for it in order to consume it. But the difference with Asta's book is that you'll ongoingly have it for those times when you want to be inspired. So that's something you will always ongoingly have, whereas a Starbucks coffee or tea you will consume right in that moment. So thank you, Asta, and we're going to go on back to Andrew. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Anju, would you please finish up with what you were sharing with us, and then we're going to come to a close.
Yeah, so this was about youth, which I have said. Regarding teachers and students, I would like to say that the physical and mental well-being of the children is taken care of by the teachers. 2 students are already here. We have a well-being period in the morning. We have our yoga. We have our meditation sessions. Apart from that, we have our gupshup periods, And what do you mean by gupshup? In Hindi, it is called gupshup. In English, it is only general conversation. The children, they miss the general conversation and the physical presence of the peer group. So therefore, we generally have one gupshup period, one general conversation period, which the children enjoy the most. And this adds to the mental well-being of the children. In that period, they only talk to the teachers, they confide what is there in their minds, and they talk to each other. And if they have any kind of problems in their mind, they discuss with their teachers, and in case teachers think something going wrong, they talk to the parents. So this period is very important, and we have Stay Connected program. We have here summer vacation in the month of May and June. So where the children are left for the parents to look after. But during the pandemic and our lockdown period, the teachers stayed connected with the children even during their holidays. They used to talk to them even during their holidays, any kind of break, and they play the games with them so that they feel the connect. The children, they don't lose the connect between the peer group and the teacher and the children. Okay. So since I am so much inspired by what all the children are doing, they are writing poems. So I also started writing, although I have not co-authored any. I have co-authored 2-3 researches, but not the poem. But I am very much inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. Okay. So I penned down few lines on Mahatma Gandhi, which I would like to, since this is a program of art initiatives. So I thought I'll also read few lines which I have penned down on Mahatma Gandhi. Gail, if you allow me to recite, can I recite few lines on Mahatma Gandhi?
Yes, I think that would be really fitting for what we are doing right here now.
Okay, thank you so much. So my poem goes, the name is From Mohan to Mahatma. His name was Mohan Das Karamchand Gandhi, right? And then eventually he was called Mahatma. So the name is From Mohan to Mahatma. So it goes like this. From Mohan to Mahatma was a long, arduous journey, which made Gandhi the most visible global Indian luminary. Forgiveness, non-violence, and his resolve to fight makes him superhuman every day and every night. Non-violence was his conviction. Non-violence was his conviction, a commitment close to his heart. A commitment close to his heart. Virtue of cleanliness and belief in truth made him class apart. Change begins with self, was his belief. Change begins with self, was his belief, as he preached what he practiced. A true humanitarian marched ahead against all odds, who was triumphant and champion above all. His value-driven life, simple and practical. His value-driven life, simple and practical, is contemporary and eternal. For it's based on truth, and truth being indomitable, his life is invincible. It's difficult to forget him. It's difficult to forget him, but more difficult to understand him, as the more we know him, the more he compounds himself. As the more we know him, the more he compounds himself. From Mohan to Mahatma was a long, arduous journey. So that was the poem. Thank you. Because I am quite impressed by his principles and philosophies of Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay, something is happening. Just to let everyone know, we've been told by the UN that many people have been infiltrated here at Zoom. Alice, do you have any idea who that person is?
No, I only hear the voice, but I don't see it, who the guest is.
It's by the name of Sheehan, I think.
Well, Sheehan, you have to go.
He's speaking trial again, I don't know.
No, it's someone who is, you got rid of, oh, there she is. Well, you remove them, Alice? Thank you.
Yes.
No idea. So I would like to, I'm going to send, I'm sorry to do this online, but I'm just going to be honest because I would like Kusha and Srishti to read this with me. I want to thank everyone for being with us. We went way over time because of some technical difficulties, but everyone somehow made it, and we're thankful for everyone that came on. We hope that everyone got something from what was shared, and we thank you for joining us, okay? And Kusha,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well. And
thank you, everyone.
Kusha, I want to know, is there any questions that you have for any of the guests that are left? For your teacher, Ms. Gupta, or for Asta?
No, it's okay. I just wanted to appreciate your poetry. Both of you wrote really insightful poems. I enjoyed them. Thank you for reciting.
Thank you so much.
Kusha.
So I am going to, Kusha, I just sent something over to you. 1 second. One second, I'm sorry. Folks, just bear with us for one moment. For just one moment. We have a little bit of a glitch here that we're just trying to get rid of. Kusha, I just sent you something. Would you read the beginning of that?
Sure. So it's a poem which goes like, "It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for. And if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing, it doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive."
Srishti, you're next.
Yes. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it.
Hi, Drew. Would you read the next part?
I don't have. There it is.
No, Drew.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Shrishti, where did you end? Could you repeat the last?
No, I sent it to you in WhatsApp, Drew. You can read it from there.
Okay. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own. If you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes. Without cautioning us to be careful, be realistic to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. I want to know if you can be faithless and therefore be trustworthy.
I want to know if you can see beauty, even when it is not pretty every day. And if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of a lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done for the children. It doesn't interest me who you are, how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside. When all else falls away, I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. The name of this poem is The Invitation, and is our invitation to you to support each and every person next to you, whether it's your mother, your father, or anyone. I acknowledge Anju not because she's only here, but I started with Anju when I first met her. And she is a very fierce woman for her family, for her teachers, for her school. And it's because of Anju that we ended up in partnership together between her school and us. And I just want to say thank you to her for that. Thank you to my staff, my group, my colleagues. It's not just about saying thank you. It's actually, each person here walks the walk. These students have been willing to look inside themselves and allow the greatness of who they are to come out. That's what's important. So Kusha, Dhruv, Shrishti, Anju, Ashta, thank you. And Jet Black, I'd like you to come on and have the last word for us. He's there. Jet, are you there?
Yes.
I would love for you to just give us a last word for people around the world to really connect with each other. I know you just spent some time away in South America, and when you go away, it brings a new perspective on life sometimes, especially those of us who are still in the New York area on lockdown.
Yeah.
So would you give us some parting words from the heart?
What I got in Colombia was that we all have a gift. And whatever your gift is the thing that people constantly thank you for. If you get a thank you, it's probably because you're using your gift. You're tapping into your gift. And your gift provides more to other people than you can imagine. And you are special. You are one of a kind. When you were born, you are a snapshot of what your corner of the universe looked like when you were born. And nobody else in the world, in the universe, shares that with you. And so you're special because nobody else is like you. And you have a gift that the whole world, the whole universe, is grateful for. All you have to do is tap into it and start giving it away. You are love. You're so amazing that and the great thing is, look around you. Every single other person, every single rock, every single plant, bug, animal are just as important. We're just all puzzle pieces that fit into this beautiful puzzle. And laugh. Laugh about it because that's all you have. Just love, share your gift. And, the future is so bright because you are in it. So thank you for letting me be a part of this. I'm always touched when you guys give me the call. I just love being with you guys and sharing. It's amazing.
Thank you so much. And Vanu, you are the person who takes us out to say goodbye. You and Alice. Alice, would you, not Alice, I'm sorry. Vanu, would you share with us?
Whatever that Jet said made it all.
Okay. I thank you. So everyone, thank you for being with us. And with that said, we are going to end this broadcast. Thank you very much. Oh, and as always, thank you, my partner, Alice. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.